All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm excited for today's deep dive because we're looking into Tom Lee
Yeah.
and all things Bitcoin.
Yeah, this should be a fun one.
Yeah, so we've got a pretty good amount of information here, a bunch of articles and interviews.
Yeah, it seems like he does a lot of media appearances and stuff, so.
Yeah, he does. He seems to get out there and talk about this stuff, which is interesting,
Hmm.
especially coming from, Wall Street, which is usually a lot more hush-hush.
Yeah.
So I think what we want to do today is really unpack how this guy who's such a Wall Street veteran,
Like a total insider.
yeah, like a total insider, how did he become like this Bitcoin evangelist? And then I think the other piece that's interesting is what does his analysis tell us about Bitcoin?
Hmm.
Because he uses a lot of traditional financial analysis to look at Bitcoin. So it's not just like hopium and dreams.
Right. It's not just vibe.
Yeah, it's not just vibes. There's actual thought behind it. So
Yeah, his perspective is really valuable because of that, you know? He
yeah,
can speak to both sides.
exactly. Yeah. So why don't we just jump right in? So just to give everyone a little bit of background, Tom Lee spent over 25 years on Wall Street.
I mean, that's almost unheard of these days, right? Like, people jump around so much.
I know, it's like dog years.
Exactly. But he was like a managing director and chief equity strategist at JPMorgan. So, like, that's a serious position.
Yeah, that's a heavyweight title for sure.
Big time. Yeah, so he knows what he's talking about. Like, when it comes to traditional finance, he's seen it all.
Exactly. And then he decided to kind of branch out,
Mm.
right? And he co-founded this company called Fundstrat.
Yeah. And that's like a research firm, right? So they do a lot of market analysis.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
trying to figure out, what are the big trends? Where's the market going?
Like, what's the next big thing? And that kind of signals his shift into this new world, too, right? Like, if you're founding a research firm and looking for the next big thing, and then we see him talking about Bitcoin all the time.
Yeah. And he is really bullish on
Oh,
Bitcoin.
yeah, he's like super bullish.
He's not just like, oh, yeah, Bitcoin's cool. He's like, Bitcoin is the thing.
Yeah, and that's what makes his perspective so interesting. He's coming from that traditional finance world and saying, hey, this new thing, this is the future.
Right. And like we were saying earlier, it's not just based on, blind faith.
Mhm.
He actually looks at things like institutional investment.
Like, who's putting money into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then also regulatory changes, like how are governments approaching this? And then things like Bitcoin halving events,
Oh.
which we can talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, those are a big deal in the Bitcoin world.
But I think one of the interesting things is, and we kind of touched on this before, Bitcoin is so volatile.
Oh my gosh, yes. The price swings are insane.
Like it's up, it's down, you don't know what's going on.
That's like a roller coaster. Seriously.
Totally. But Lee actually points out that a lot of Bitcoin's gains happen in a very small number of trading days.
Right, so it's like these big jumps, but
Yeah.
then the rest of the time it's like,
It's just kind of like meandering.
Yeah.
And so his argument is if you can kind of weather the storm and hold on for the long term,
those big jumps will make up for all the little dips.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so you end up coming out ahead. And that's kind of like a classic, investment strategy, buy and hold.
Yeah, long-term vision. But it takes a lot of patience, especially with something as volatile as Bitcoin.
Yeah, you really got to have diamond hands with that one.
For sure. And he's not saying to day trade it or try to time the market, right?
Right.
He's saying understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin and just let it do its thing over time.
Yeah, trust the tech.
Exactly.
So I'm curious about the halving events, though. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah, so basically every 4 years or so, the reward for mining Bitcoin gets cut in half.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so Lee and a lot of other analysts think that this actually drives the price up
Oh, how so?
because it basically constricts the supply of new Bitcoin coming into the market.
Oh, so it's like there's less Bitcoin to go around, so the price goes up.
Exactly. Supply and demand, Econ 101. And it's kind of built into Bitcoin's code, so it's not like someone's just deciding to do this, you know?
It's like a scheduled thing.
Totally. And a lot of people look at those halving events as potential catalysts for big price moves.
So that's something to watch for, right?
Yeah,
Like if you're following Bitcoin, those halving events are important.
absolutely. And it's interesting because Lee's not just sitting in his office crunching numbers, you know?
Yeah.
He's actually out there talking about this stuff.
Yeah, he does a ton of media, right?
Yeah, he's on financial news all the time. He's active on social media. And I think that's really important because he's not just hiding behind his analysis.
Yeah, it's like he's willing to engage in the debate.
Yeah, and defend his positions.
No.
And coming from Wall Street, where things are often so secretive, that's pretty refreshing, honestly.
Yeah, it is. And it makes you kind of take him more seriously.
Right. Because he's not just like trying to make a quick buck, you know? He actually believes in this stuff.
And his firm, FS Insight, they work with like big institutions, but they also work with individuals.
Right. So it's not just for the Wall Street elite.
No, it's like everyone can benefit from their analysis.
Yeah, they're trying to democratize access to this kind of information.
Yeah. So, okay, let's just kind of like recap here. We've got Tom Lee, Wall Street veteran, becomes this Bitcoin advocate, and he's got this data-driven long-term perspective.
Yeah, he's not just a hype man.
No, he's actually like thinking about this stuff deeply.
And I think that raises a really important question, right? Like, if someone with his experience in traditional finance is this bullish on Bitcoin, what does that say about the future of crypto?
Right. Like, is this like a canary in the coal mine?
It could be. Like, are we seeing a shift in how the financial world views crypto? And if so, what does that mean for all of us?
Yeah, that's a good question for our listeners to ponder.
A little something to chew on.
Right. As they continue to explore this crazy world of crypto.
That's the fun part.
It is. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.